A girl's lunch hit the floor, on purpose. The food splattered. The silence spread. Every head in that cafeteria turned. One girl stood frozen, eyes wide, cheeks burning. The other one laughed. Her name was Brianna Cole, 17 years old, honor student, quiet girl. The kind of person who held doors open for strangers and said thank you to the lunch lady every single day. She wasn't the kind of girl drama found, but drama found her anyway. And the girl who knocked her tray over? That was Madison Hargrove, daughter of Mayor Gerald Hargrove, the most powerful man in Millbrook County, the kind of girl who had never heard the word no in her entire life. Madison didn't just knock the tray. She leaned down. She looked Brianna dead in the eyes in front of 200 students and said something that made the entire room gasp. But here's what nobody in that cafeteria could have predicted. One phone call. That's all it took. And by the end of that week, Mayor Gerald Hargrove's entire career was gone. Stay with me, because what happened next changed everything for both of them. To understand what happened in that cafeteria, you need to understand who Brianna Cole really was. Brianna grew up on the east side of Millbrook, the side of town that the mayor never visited during election season, the side where the streets had potholes that never got fixed, and the school had textbooks from 12 years ago. Her mother, Denise, worked 2 jobs, a morning shift at the county hospital as a nursing aide and an evening shift at the gas station on Route 9. Her father had left when Brianna was 9. No calls, no birthday cards, just gone. But Brianna was extraordinary. She carried a 3.9 GPA while working weekends at a local laundromat to help her mother cover rent. She tutored younger kids in math for free on Tuesday afternoons. She painted small canvases she'd prop against the wall of her bedroom. Flowers, skies, faces she'd never met but felt like she knew. She was the kind of quiet that wasn't shy. It was focused, intentional. She had applied for the Millbrook Community Arts Scholarship, a $15,000 award that could change her entire future. The committee announcement was coming in 4 days. Now picture Madison Hargrove. Same school. Completely different world. Madison was the mayor's only daughter, and everyone in Millbrook knew it, mostly because Madison made sure they never forgot. She walked through Westbrook High like the hallways were a runway. Designer sneakers, a social media following of 40,000, a lunch table that functioned more like a court than a cafeteria spot, and Madison sat at the center of it like a queen who had never once been challenged. She wasn't cruel in the dramatic movie villain way. She was crueler than that. She was casual about it, dismissive, the kind of mean that didn't even feel the need to raise its voice. What Madison didn't say, what nobody knew yet, was that Brianna had quietly been building something. A record. Not of grades, of incidents, of comments made in hallways, of whispers loud enough to be heard, of the time Madison called her the help when Brianna offered to pass back papers in English class, of 3 months of low-grade, daily humiliation that Brianna had absorbed in silence. Brianna Cole had never said a word, until the day Madison made sure she couldn't stay quiet anymore. And then, it all changed. It was a Tuesday. The cafeteria was loud and full the way school cafeterias always are. Trays clattering, voices overlapping, the smell of pizza and antiseptic hand sanitizer mixing together in a way that somehow becomes the scent of memory itself. Brianna sat at the end of a table near the windows. She had her lunch, chicken and rice, same as always, packed by her mother at 5:30 that morning before the hospital shift started. She had her sketchbook open beside her tray, pencil moving in small, quiet strokes. She wasn't looking for attention. She never was. Madison walked past with her group, 4 girls who functioned as mirrors, reflecting back whatever expression Madison wore. They were loud. They were laughing. And then Madison stopped. She stopped right behind Brianna. Maybe it was the sketchbook. Maybe it was the chicken and rice. Maybe it was Tuesday and Madison was bored. Nobody would ever really know why she chose this particular moment. But she leaned over Brianna's shoulder and looked at the sketchbook page and said, loudly, loud enough for the entire nearby section to hear. Is that supposed to be art? Looks like something a toddler drew with its feet. The girls with her laughed. A few nearby students laughed nervously too. The kind of laugh you give when you're scared, it's told. Oddern on you next. Brianna didn't respond. She kept her eyes on the page, and that silence made Madison bolder. "Oh, don't ignore me," Madison said, louder now. "What are you drawing? Your mom's paycheck? Oh wait, does she even get one?" The table went quiet. Not just Brianna's table, the tables around them. A 200-person cafeteria pulled its volume down to near zero, and then, as if that wasn't enough, as if the cruelty needed one more layer to be complete, Madison reached out and shoved Brianna's lunch tray off the table. The tray hit the floor with a sound like a gunshot in the silence. Chicken and rice scattered across the linoleum. The sketchbook fell. The pencil rolled under the table. Brianna sat perfectly still for 1 second, 2, 3. Then she stood up. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She didn't perform for the crowd. She looked Madison Hargrove directly in the eyes and said, very quietly, "You just made the last mistake you're going to make in this school." Madison laughed. Her group laughed. "Oh, what are you going to do about it?" Brianna bent down. She picked up her sketchbook. She picked up her pencil. She walked out of that cafeteria without looking back at anyone. Here's what nobody in that cafeteria knew. Brianna's mother, Denise Cole, didn't just work at the county hospital. She worked in the administrative wing, the records and compliance department. And through 3 years of quiet, diligent work, Denise had become close friends with the county's chief ethics officer, a woman named Dr. Patricia Webb. Brianna walked to the school library. She sat in the corner by the reference section. She opened her phone. She didn't call a friend. She didn't post on social media. She called her mother, and she told her everything. Not just what happened today. Everything. Every comment. Every moment. Every single incident she had been collecting in silence for 3 months. Her mother listened without interrupting. When Brianna finished, Denise's voice was the quietest it had ever been. "I need you to write it all down. Every date. Every word. Everything you remember. Tonight. Can you do that?" Brianna said yes. What happened next moved fast. Denise didn't call the school principal. She knew how that would end. An apology letter. A 3-day suspension. Madison back in school like nothing happened. She called Dr. Patricia Webb, and she told her about Madison. But more importantly, she told her what she'd noticed over 3 years in the county records department. Budget allocations that didn't add up. A community arts grant. The same grant funding Brianna. Scholarship. That had been quietly redirected. Twice. Both times, the money trail ended at campaign accounts connected to Mayor Gerald Hargrove. Dr. Webb asked Denise to bring the documents she could legally access. Denise brought them. 3 days later, the County Ethics Board opened a formal investigation into Mayor Gerald Hargrove's office. The story didn't explode overnight. It moved the way justice sometimes moves. Carefully, quietly, then all at once. On Friday morning, 4 days after the cafeteria, Brianna walked into school and found a letter. In her locker. She opened it standing right there in the hallway. Backpack still on her back. It was from the Millbrook Community Arts Scholarship Committee. She read it once. Twice. Then she pressed it against her chest and closed her eyes. She'd won. $15,000. Full scholarship. Her name, chosen above every other applicant. But the committee had also added a personal note at the bottom. Unusual. Handwritten. It said that her application's portfolio had been, quote, the most emotionally honest work they had reviewed in 9 years of judging. She sat down on the hallway floor right there. Didn't care who walked past. She sat against the lockers and let herself feel it. All of it. The months of silence. The hard mornings. Her mother's tired eyes. The tray on the floor. And this letter. She cried the kind of tears that aren't about sadness. The kind that only come when relief is so big, your body doesn't know what else to do with it. That same morning, news broke across Millbrook County. Mayor Gerald Hargrove announced he was stepping down from office, citing personal reasons. The county ethics board confirmed an investigation was ongoing. Local news picked it up by noon. By evening, it was regional. A story about misappropriated community funds, about grants redirected for personal political gain, about a man who had built his public image on caring for working families while quietly taking money from the programs those families depended on. 2 days later, Madison Hargrove didn't come to school. Nobody announced why, but everyone knew. A week after that, Brianna walked into her art teacher's room after class and showed her the scholarship letter. Her teacher, Mr. Okafor, a quiet man who had never once shown favoritism in 12 years of teaching, looked at it for a long moment. Then he looked at Brianna. "I want you to know," he said, "I put your name in for that scholarship 8 months ago. I told the committee, this one sees the world differently. This one matters." Brianna didn't say anything. She just nodded. Because some things don't need a speech. Some things just need to be felt. The deepest truth this story carries isn't about revenge. It's not even about justice, really. It's about what happens when a quiet person finally decides that silence isn't and the same thing as peace. Brianna never chased Madison. She didn't go looking for a fight. She just stopped absorbing what wasn't hers to carry. And when she put it down, the weight of it crushed the person who had thrown it. Some people mistake quiet for weakness. That's always been their first mistake. And their last one. After everything Brianna carried, the silence, the humiliation, the tray on the floor, the 3 months of swallowed pain, she didn't need to fight. She just needed to stop hiding. And that one decision changed everything. Here's what I want to ask you, and I want you to think about this genuinely before you answer. Have you ever stayed quiet when you should have spoken up? And what finally made you say something? Drop your story in the comments below. I read them, every single one, and you might be surprised how many people out there are carrying the exact same thing you are. If stories like Brianna's are the kind that keep you up and thinking, the real ones, the ones that make you feel something, then you belong here. Hit subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly that. Real people, real consequences, real moments where one decision changes everything. Next up, a teacher quietly records her principal for 30 days. What she captures on those recordings destroys a 20-year career. And what she finds out, about why he targeted her, makes it even harder to watch. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, keep going, even quiet, especially quiet.